Yes.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. So today we are going to discuss about art of parenting, and let's just begin the topic. So after the end of the presentation, you will be able to understand the your child. You will be able to understand developmental milestones that the child has across the life span. Then parenting styles, the different parenting styles that we have, and strategies to discipline your child. So. When we want to understand our child, we should be mindful of the fact that our environment and the heredity, both of these things join together to shape the personality of the child. So environment consists of the influence and the experiences that the child acquires from the environment, from the caregivers, from significant others, from their experiences and belief systems of the family. And heredity is basically the genetic makeup of the child. So, which usually is the traits that are passed on to the child from the parent. Now, when I say the genetic makeup, I also mean the physical characteristics that the child has from the parent. For example, the height, the skin color, the eye color. So, these are the things that the child gets from the parent. So, environment and heredity together, they shape the personality of a child. Now, we will talk about developmental milestones. So developmental milestones are set of functions or the skills that are, age specific and which a child is required to attain as the child starts growing. So also when we talk about developmental milestones, they vary from child to child. We cannot say that all the children will, achieve the milestones as given by the standards of the age. So sometimes the child will acquire them by the time the it is supposed to be acquired, or sometimes it will be little delayed. Okay, so for that, the best person to judge this and to guide you for this is the pediatrician or the developmental specialist. So you can always go to them and you can get the physical development of the child, tested by them. Then, so these are the basic skills that a child will be able to attain by the age of 3 months. So these are gross motors. So primarily we have them into four categories, which are gross motors, fine motor, language, and social skills. So gross motors, basically we mean that it involves the whole body. For example, standing, sitting. In this, the whole body is involved, not just particular muscles or particular body parts. So it's pertaining to the whole body. So language is again a very important skill we use for communication. Then fine motors involve your hand movements, basically your fingers. And social skills, again, the way we are able to conduct the communication in the social setup. So by 3 months, the child will be able to, when you try to lift the child, he will be able to stabilize the head. Okay. And for similarly for fine motor, the child will be able to collapse the hands like this. The child will be able to put the hands together. And language, they will be able to vocalize. By vocalize, I'm not saying that child will be able to put the or say out the words. By vocalize, we mean some cooing or some babbling will be there by the child. Then social skills will be, the child will be able to react to familiar situations or familiar things. With that we mean, for example, if you give a child the feeding bottle, the child will recognize the feeding bottle. Okay. Then the pacifiers or the toys that you are using with the child, so child will be able to recognize those. Then comes the milestones by the age of 6 months. So then again, the skills are progressing now. So since earlier the child was able to, recognize the sounds, now the child will be able to turn the head towards the source of the sound. For example, if somebody is clapping, the child will be able to turn his head towards the source of the sound. Then social skills will develop a bit, in which we can say that the child will be able to be friendly with strangers. So initially you might see that the child is not able to this child cries when the child goes to somebody else. But then by now they are familiar with the faces, they recognize parent, they recognize other significant caregivers, and they are able to be comfortable with the other strangers as well. Then gross motor involves rolling. So now the stage has come when the child will start rolling. Okay, and fine motors is when the child will have a whole hand grip, and the child will be able to stick things in the mouth. So whatever the child is holding in the hand automatically will go in the mouth. So that's the stage when the child will start having the grasp skill. Then come 12 months. So by 12 months, the child has attained 1 year of his life, and now he will know his name. So the child will turn when you are calling the child, and will be able to probably stand with or without support. Okay, and will be able to sit on the chair, will be able to, in terms of social skill, will be able to, drink from the mouth, will be able to communicate, will be able to say at least one or two words to others, and will able to say at least yes, no, mama, papa, basics. And fine motors will be banging together, putting things together, holding the spoon, and tapping it on the surface. So things like those. Then comes 18 months. By now the child has developed and will be able to point towards the body parts. His social skills will develop definitely, and will be able to communicate, will be able to share basic emotions, will be able to sit without support, and walk without support on the chair. The child will be able to sit on the chair without support. And by fine motor, the concept of stacking, that will be putting blocks together, or putting bricks together to make a tower, or things like those will be present. So now we'll talk about delay. So see, delay is when the child is not able to attain the specific set of skills at a certain age in comparison to children of other age. Now, like I told you, little delays will not be considered as developmental delay. So you have to look for the major, um, skills which are not being able to achieve by the child at a certain age in comparison to other children. For example, if a child of 1 year is still not able to vocalize, is still at the 3 month stage where they are cooing, so then there's a major lag. Now you can understand that there's a major lag wherein you can see the children of 1 year age who are able to probably say, produce certain sounds, are able to say certain words, are able to at least try to speak. So now you can compare that there's a major lag in the development. So now we can say it's a developmental delay by the child. So you have to keep a measure of that. You have to, I would suggest you have to take suggestions by specialists, by pediatricians, when you are judging this delay part. Okay, so just don't compare too much with others, because all the children are unique. They will grow and they will progress at their own pace. And secondly, physical development also plays part in the overall development of the child. So just consider that part, and then we can take it a call. Now let's talk about parenting. Since parenting is an art, it's more of the way we take parenting, the way we think that, oh my god, okay, parenthood is here, then what to do? There's so much of expectations from parent, especially young parents. There's so much of expectation the probably your parents had from you, and then you are having from your child. And then the way we bring up our children, it all varies. So parenting is, it's an art, I would say. And since it's rightly said that to be in your child's memories tomorrow, you have to be in their lives today. So by this, I would say that you try to be with the child as much as you can, and help them develop while they are, they need you, be there with them, and just be around them, so that they are able to uh, recall the memories, and they're able to relate to when they will become a parent, they can give an example that, okay, my parent was there with me, my mother was there with me when I was growing. These are the things that my mother has taught me. So we always set a good example as a parent. So we are going to discuss that, parenting is an is a process that carries on throughout the life. You can never be, unparent yourself. So the meeting child's need by the age of 18 or maybe little longer, that's parenting. And guiding the child towards a goal of becoming a competent adult, of becoming a responsible adult. So that is what the goal of parenting is. So when we, as a parent, when we start parenting, it's not just about fulfilling the basic needs of a child, but also guiding them towards how we can attain certain skills, how we can, keep on encouraging them to be a responsible citizen, responsible person, a competent adult. So that's all it is about. So parenting styles will be, these are the basic 6 parenting styles that we have: authoritarian, democratic, uninvolved, permissive, helicopter, and lawnmower. So we are going to discuss one of them, each one of them, and we'll just see what the characteristics of these parenting styles are and what effects they have on a child. So when we say authoritarian parenting itself indicates that it is to do with authority. So it is all monarchic. It's the parent who sets the rules of the house, the rules of the family. It's the parent who sets the routine for a child. It's the parent who tells the child what to do, what is expected out of a child, at what situation, how are they expected to, respond to certain things, and how are they expected to be in society. So strict rules and regulations are laid down by the child, if by the parent. If the child is not following them, then there are punishments, there are commands. Then there are, there's a lack of warmth in the family. The parent will try to influence the child in every possible way, and unconditional love and nurturing will not be there. So there is basically no concept of, being with the child, making the effort to understand what the child is feeling and how the child wants to communicate. So it's all parent oriented. The parent is only the, the guide of the chariot, and that's how the parenting is done. And you also have high expectations from the child. So if a child probably fails to fulfill the expectations, then there is no, there will lack of understanding from the parent side. Then that's how the, the parent will have the control over the child. So how will it affect the child? How is it going to shape the child? So with this, the child will display more aggression. Okay, the child will be more aggressive because there is no way the child is being heard. So just to be heard, or just to, have attention, the child will start throwing tantrums. Then they will be shy, or they will be fearful. So they might not be able to open up, not just with you, but with anyone else. Thus they will have impaired social skills, because they do not know how to express themselves. They will be having low self-esteem, low confidence. So their social skills will be impaired. And but they will be good at following rules. They will be very good at, whatever rules are there, whatever, set of uh, expectations are there, they will be able to do that. So but then again, independently, if you see, self discipline will not be there. If you let them be there in the situation, they will not be able to understand how they are able to, how they have to run through it. Then comes democratic parenting. Democratic parenting, like we all know, democracy in this, the child has a say, the parent has a say, they work together. And this will encourage independence in the child. There will be certain limits, but then, certain limits will be there, and consequences and expectations out of them will also be laid down properly. Then warmth and nurturance will be there. The family environment will be very conducive for the child to grow, and children will be allowed to express their opinions. They will be allowed to will be allowed to share how they are feeling, and they will be openly encouraged to discuss other options. If a problem is there, children will be allowed to share their opinions about it. Will be allowed to share their if any other option is available, they will be allowed to share their opinions on that. Then flexibility will be there, and it will be child centric. Now, if we are giving such an open environment to the child, how will the child be? How will he be as an adult? So there will be lesser aggressive behavior in the child. Happier dispositions will be there. The child will be happy. The child will be able to decide on their own that what is right, what is wrong, and emotional control and regulations will be great. Social skills definitely will be there, because now the child is not being guided by a parent or an adult, on how to work about. So they will be confident. They will be having higher self-esteem, and they will be able to sail through all the situations. They will be able to find all the solutions to majority of the problems, and they will be able to be succeed in their life. So that's the effect of the democratic parenting. Now, uninvolved parenting is the one in which there is zero involvement. The parent is not involved at all. So they don't have time for kids due to XYZ engagement or XYZ reason, and only basic needs are fulfilled. So the parent is not that uninvolved that they do not realize what is the basic need of the child. So the child will be able to go to school. The child will be given, probably is sent to the best of the school. But then if you talk about parent teacher meetings, the parent might not be there. The parent might be missing out on those. Or if you see, the homework assignments are probably not going on time. Okay, and they may intentionally can also, they will be avoiding their child, and are emotionally distant from their child. They do not believe in the culture of discussing the emotions, discussing the problems of the child. So it's just the child is just on its own. They are there to provide the basic needs, but then the probably the emotional needs of the child are not satisfied. Then what are the effects of this on child? Then the child will be self-sufficient, because the child understands that there is probably no adult who is there to guide me. So I only have to find the solution to each and every problem of mine. Then fear of becoming dependent on others. Child will have you can say impaired social relations, because the child will not be able to trust anyone, because he has not seen the parent be there for the child. So they might have this fear that how can I trust this individual? How is that individual going to benefit me? So emotionally withdrawn, the children will be emotionally withdrawn. They will be skeptical of sharing their emotions. They will be skeptical of putting their walls down and letting anyone else see how they are feeling. And hence they will be fearful, they will be anxious, they will have difficulty forming attachments later in life. So they will have basically impaired social skills. Permissive parenting is the one in which the parents are very lenient. They are indulgent and are very lenient, and they are very few demands are placed on the child. Okay, the child basically is left on its own, that yeah, fine, whatever, however you want to do, you can do it. Okay, there, for example, in playing game also, there will be times when the parent would want the child to win, so that child doesn't get frustrated, or the child doesn't know about the rules, and it's all about you. However you want to sail through, you can do. They will be more of friends than parents, and no rules, no disciplines, hence no punishments also. So given to child's demands and seeking appreciation for their accommodating style. Okay, so they want to be appreciated, that okay, see that parent, they put all the restrictions on the child. See, we have just left you on your own. You are the best person to decide for yourself. And so see, we are so open towards whatever you want to do in life, we are open towards that. So effect will be, they are not accustomed to children will not be accustomed to anger. They do not understand the meaning of anger. They do not understand the meaning of punishment. and poor impulse control. The impulses will be, they will be very impulsive. Whatever they want to do, they will right away, they would want to do that. And they always expect to get their own way. So it's like they are not the set of children who would want to take no as an answer. So they would want, okay, if I'm saying this has to happen this way, so it will happen this way, because they have never seen rules and regulations in their routines, and they're not willing to learn and accept defeat. So like I told you, there will be no rules in the games that they are going to play, so they will always want to win. Even, you know, if you want them to play with their peers, so at that time also they will be wanting to win, always win. I always want to bat, I always want to win. So that is what the child will learn from this kind of parenting. Now comes helicopter parenting. Like the word itself says, helicopter means hovering over the child all the time. So it is basically having three O's: over controlling, over protecting, and over monitoring. So independence is not given. You're always around the child. You're always seeing what the child is doing. You're always involved in whatever the child is doing. And you always baby the child. You know, you always try to be there with the child so that the child doesn't have to meet any of the obstacles in the life alone. So you would want to, okay, we will resolve it together. So you're not exposing to the child to all the threats, all the obstacles, but then you want the child to learn that, okay, me, I am there with you always, and we together can sail through anything. And don't allow them to grow up. So it's always like the child will always have this perception that my parent is always there with me. I am not, going to be an adult dealing with the situations on my own. So my parent is always there with me. So the effect of this will be the child will have lack of confidence and lack of self-esteem. The child will not understand that, you know, when the child has to take decision on his own, the child will have problem solving skills. They will lack problem solving skills and poor coping skills. If a problem arises, stress is there, then the child will not be able to cope with the stress or anxiety or depression or any other problem that the child might face in the life. High level of anxiety, depression, and panic state, and poor decision making skills and problem solving skills. So these are the effects that the helicopter parenting will have on the child. Now, lawnmower parenting. Lawnmower is just like lawn mowing. We will try to eradicate, we'll try to, erase all the obstacles that the child might face in life. So there's a strong desire to protect the child from any type of obstacle. So you would want the obstacle to be removed then and there before the child can face it. So completing task on behalf of the child and not exposing to hardship. The very simple example of this I can give is that probably if the child is not able to complete the homework, so what a parent might do is they will complete the homework in one go and submit the homework. Or if the child has done the homework and on a oftentimes what happens that the child doesn't put the homework in the notebook in the bag. So at that time what will happen, the parent will go to school leaving everything behind, will go to the school, will submit the project on behalf of the child. So when you are not letting the child face the consequence of not submitting the work on time, so this is lawn mower parenting. This is one example of lawn mowing parenting. So what will happen? The effect will be lack of confidence, poor coping skill, less resilient. The children will not be resilient to anything. They will be poorly equipped with routine tasks, and they will have problem coping with the learning experiences that they are going to have in life. Now, after discussing, you must be wondering then, if all the parenting styles have their own pros and cons, so which one is the best parenting style? So we, as a child progresses in the life, we have different stages in the child's life. So all the parenting styles are applicable depending upon the stage of the stage at which the child is. For example, if I say for a toddler, permissive or democrative style is not going to help. It has to be helicopter parenting, because at that time the child is growing. The time the child is in a situation where the child doesn't know what is right or wrong. But if you see at if a child has reached a teenage stage of his life, at that time helicopter parenting is not going to help, because then the child is exploring, the child is growing, they are trying different things, trial and error method is being applied by the child in order to deal with the obstacles. So in my opinion, all the parenting styles are used, but at the different stages of the life in which the child is. So we cannot say this one particular child, one particular parenting style which is the best, but it depends upon the stage at which the child is. So probably the parent is the best judge of which parenting style is to be used when. With that, we'll move on to the last topic, which is strategies to discipline your child. So many a times, we have this concern from the parent that, okay, I'm letting my child do whatever they want to do, or, I try not to be too much involved in what the child is doing, or okay, I've tried to control my child in certain situations, what to do. So many a times this question comes up that now my child is showing discipline behavior, the issues with the discipline. So how to discipline the behavior? So this is what I would, these are just certain strategies that we can definitely try it out, and we can try with the child and see how they are coming along. So wait until you calm down before disciplining your child. So you have to calm yourself down before you start telling what you have to do, start telling the child what you have to do. Then discipline fairly firmly with love. Nothing is done with a pressure or with a with force. So whatever you have to do, you have to do firmly. It has to be there since the beginning. Suddenly you cannot create rules, and you suddenly cannot tell the child to follow these rules. It has to be there since the beginning. Communicate respectfully, because if you are communicating with the child respectfully, the same is going to come around. If you are not respectful for the child will also learn the same thing, and the child will also not respect you, probably at the later stage of life. And always be attentive to what the child is wanting to say. So many a times they, if they cannot communicate directly, they communicate it through their behavior. So we have to be vigilant about what is happening when, and how are they trying to, and what are they trying to communicate. Be a good role model. Whatever you are modeling, whatever you are exhibiting, the child is going to follow the same. So basically you are the one, directly or indirectly, who is setting up the example for a good parenting, or for a good uh, a competent adult. How a child can become a competent adult, you are setting an example for that. Keep it simple. Don't overload your child with instructions. Do not, for example, a toddler, or a child with probably 7 to 8 years of age, you cannot tell the child, okay, go there, get that. Multiple instructions, try not to give. Keep it simple. Keep it in probably as simple as you can. Do not complicate the communication between you and your child. Do not try to use jargons with the child. Probably you are able to understand what you are saying, but the child might not try to understand what you probably mean. Similarly, when I say do not use jargons, I also would stress out on this, that try to enhance the vocabulary for a child. For example, many a times the child says that I'm feeling bad, but bad doesn't mean bad in terms of what the child wants to say. It could be frustrating, I'm annoyed, it can be annoying, it can be stressful for the child. So it can be anything. So try to differentiate in different emotions. Try to make the child understand that for bad there are certain, there's a segregation of emotions that we can talk about. So let the child choose on its own that I'm frustrated, I'm disgusted, I am having problem with this area, or whatever it is. And accept the child the way it is, the way the child is. Do not try to make a child a perfect child. Do not compare, do not start comparing a child at a very early stage, and do not make it a point that, see, follow that other child, what he is doing. They are good at so many other things, but you are not good at many of the things. So just try to understand the child, and try to accept the child the way it is. Then give chores that build responsibility. It happens from the beginning. Whatever rules you are going to, ground rules you're going to set for the child, they are going to help the child in the longer run. So involve the child in daily chores that you are doing, make it a responsible person. It is only going to help the child in a longer run. Keep your promise or do not make them. This I am going to stress on a lot, because this is something that parent do, that over the weekend we might go for the picnic, but then sometimes due to some other reason or something like this, it doesn't happen. But if it is happening time and again, if you're breaking promises time and again, I would suggest do not make any promise. Let it be a surprise for the child. Okay, one fine day you can say, okay, today we are going to go for a picnic, then it will come as a surprise. But if you are setting an example, or if you're setting an expectation for the child, if you are not fulfilling that, then the child is definitely going to get frustrated. Okay, and make family rules and enforce them consistently. When I'm saying make family rules, it has to be negotiated with the child. Definitely there will be certain rules which you would want the child to follow, but then I would suggest that have a general consensus on the rules, the family rules that you're going to make, and let everyone follow it. So some of the myth busters. So usually it is, it is said that all the parenting skills are instinctive. No, no one is born with all the, preparation needed to be an effective parent. You learn when you are in this parenthood, you will learn different aspects of it. You will see yourself grow as a, as a parent. How you used to be probably 5 years down the lane, it is not going to be the same. So yes, they are not instinctive, they are learned, and you always evolve as a parent when you are in this parenting process. Then all the mature adults can be a perfect parent. It is not that. Mature adults should strive to become competent parents and not perfect parents. There is nothing like perfect parent. You are always on an experiment. You are always on, hit and trial method. You are always trying out different strategies with your child. So it perfect parent is a myth. So you can always be a competent parent, but yeah, do not strive to be a perfect parent. Then good parenting guarantees good children. Again, there are influences which are on the child, from outside the family, such as peers, significant others, the caregivers, so which are going to affect the child in healthy or unhealthy ways. So it is, the child is not in a shell just with you, the child is out in the environment. There are going to be several influences on the child. So do not think that whatever you are doing is the center of the child's life. There are many other influences which are on the child. So do not think that you are good parenting is going to guarantee good children. Another thing is, it's usually it is said that parenting is always fun. So parenting, just like any other job, can be fun, can be sad, can be frustrating, can be satisfying, can be, the child can just astonish you each and every single day. It can be in a positive way, it can be in a negative way. So you are always prepared for something new each day. So we cannot guarantee that just like any other job, it is fun, it is easy. It is not like that. Every day is a new day for you. Every day is a new task for you. So it's all upon you how you are going to take it. And another thing is that adults should have realistic expectations about parenting. We should not have, you should not think that, oh, I taught this skill yesterday, the child will be able to apply it today. Consistency should be there. You should be consistently able to guide the child for the on the right path. You should be consistently able to you know reinforce the skills, and you should be able to see how the child is going to be in the longer run. So this is, you should have a realistic expectations. Do not have a out of the world expectations from the child. Oh, my child, whatever you are going to teach the child is going to learn that. So yeah, with that, I think we are done with this topic. So any